trash, better back it up. I'ma make my money while they laugh at us.
What is going on, guys? You're tuning into Inventing Entrepreneurs, a show where we bring on emerging entrepreneurs to talk about them inventing their vision of success. I'm your host, @BrianEvents. Add me on Instagram, Snapchat, whatever. Actually, no, Snapchat's dead. I'm joined by my co-hosts, John and Oscar. What's going on, guys?
What's up, guys? Just want to shout out my mom real quick. She's been listening to every episode since day one, holding down the fort. True.
Shout out to my mom, too, if you're listening. If you're not listening, you. Just kidding. Sorry, Mom. I didn't mean it.
If she listens.
Yeah, she listens.
My mom doesn't speak English.
Suck it. Hey, we're still here. We got Rohan, awesome Rohan Shah, CEO, co-founder of Classavo. Thanks for joining us here in the studio, man. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, it's great. For a little bit of background for our listeners, give us a little insight into what Classavo is, in the general scale.
Sure. Before I start, I'll give a shout out to my mom too.
Yeah, it's a Mother's Day, a month, 2 months early.
Yeah,
excellent.
You're the only one that hasn't given your mom a shout out yet.
She don't speak English, man.
Say it in Chinese then.
I don't speak Chinese.
Oh, okay.
I don't speak English.
Well, thanks for having me, guys, here today. I run an education technology company called Interactive, but we build a learning content management system called Classavo. And
how do I spell that?
CLASSAVO.com.
Cool. So what do you guys basically do? What's the program? What's the idea behind it?
Sure. So before I get into that, so just a little background about me, as you asked. I went to University of Buffalo. I did computer science and business.
Shout out to UB.
Woohoo!
When did you graduate?
I graduated around 2015.
Okay, so you're with us.
Right. And I started the company before I graduated when I was senior in the college. And a professor approached me to co-author his mathematics textbook. And I said, wow, that's an honor. And even though I was computer science background, it was kind of different. So a little bit of backstory. When I was in 10th grade, I had compiled this book of all the math questions for the board exams when I was going up there. And I was never really the genius, or I would never get like top A grades in math or anything like that. But I had this one book because I was to study really hard to do really well in math. And it was in a form of personal diary. And turns out I told my parents that I was going to publish that book, and they just started laughing at me. It's like, who's going to buy your book? You haven't been getting hundreds on the exams.
Right, yeah.
So it turns out my mom actually tossed the book by mistakenly, in the recycling. Mm-hmm. And I came home, I was so upset. I really was going to publish that book. It might have, helped some kids out there, right, even though I might not get hundreds. Yeah. But hopefully soon. So it turns out when the professor approached me, I called my mom and I said, "Hey, Mom, guess what I'm doing? I'm publishing a math book."
Yeah, right? What did
in your
say
face,
right?
Mom.
And she was laughing, and it was still funny and hysterical.
Yeah, right?
But so the problem was...
Is she still laughing?
She does. She still laughs at it. She's kind of emotional at it.
It's going to be a running joke forever.
I know.
Yeah.
So the professor was teaching students how to program a graphic calculator. Those TI-84 calculators.
Those Texas Instruments.
Instruments.
Expensive
right.
ones.
Exactly.
Right.
And the problem was he had 180 programs in the textbook. So students would have to jump from the textbooks to the calculator 180 times into hundreds of lines of code or whatever you do. They said, no one's going to buy your book, right? And we wonder, why can't you actually code inside the narrative of the textbook?
Right.
Turns out the technology didn't exist back then. So me and my partner back then, we compiled, we built, we are able to solve the problem through actually able to write a compiler interpreter that students are able to code inside the narrative of the text.
So basically they can edit the textbook.
Correct. They can run code inside the book. So you don't actually have to go and buy a $120 calculator and go from there to there. Right. You could just do it right away.
Right. Cool.
So we thought.
Aren't they going bankrupt or something? Texas Instruments.
Texas Instruments?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hopefully
it was a pretty innovative company.
They have a whole monopoly of calculators, but
they did.
Right now, it's you don't even need that.
Yeah.
Correct.
Phones.
They have iPhones. You can.
I still use my calculator when I do.
Yeah, but not a $120 calculator.
Oh no. Well, what about school students? They can't have their cell phones. Think about it, when you're in high school.
Yeah, so it's a monopoly.
Yeah, it's monopoly.
Absolutely.
I remember you could only have the TI, whatever. TI 85
that's exactly what we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Big bulky things.
Times are changing. In education.
Absolutely, they are.
Absolutely.
It's
And
due for a change.
it is due for a change.
Absolutely.
So wait, I have two questions. First is the reason that you just started this because your professor asked you to help out?
No, not at all. So when we solved that kind of problem, we realized there's a commercial value to it. And I always was kind of an entrepreneurial before I got into this venture. I'd started the company or explored the idea of starting another problem solution with a couple of guys from around the country. We met at a hackathon, and then we've been to every single hackathon, won every single one of them.
Right.
And
How many? Numerous. How many?
I would say like 8.
What's a hackathon for people that don't know? Like
Sure.
me.
So a hackathon is almost an event where a lot of students go and they're given challenges to code something or to build a product or to build an idea or solution within a certain amount of time. Typically, it's like 24 hours to 36 hours, depending how big the event is. And at the end of the event, there are judges, there are companies who give out prizes. So it could be from cash prize to an interview. You might even end up getting a job at a big company.
Sweet. So
Yeah.
you went to 8, won all 8?
Around there, yes.
Nice.
Yes.
That's pretty good.
So had a pretty good dream team, ended up embarking on this solution where we thought this is going to be really cool. Realized that we would have to market the hell out of it to work. So we realized that's not something we want to do, and all the both partners ended up getting really good jobs, full-time jobs, and they ended up taking that. So apart from that, I still want to get an entrepreneurial space, building something, not for money. Because if you're doing this for money, it's a really hard gig, and there are better ways to make money than this.
I agree.
Very true. But I really care about the impact. So for now, when we walk into a class and you see 800 students using it, I think John heard this like hundreds of times, but that feeling is like cocaine.
Yeah.
Seriously, I don't do cocaine, just FYI.
Just in case his mom's listening.
You just know the feeling.
Well, I'm just assuming that probably feels like.
Right.
Probably feels really good.
Must be cool, right? It's like you go into the gym and everybody's using flex water bottles, and you're like,
One day.
"Shit, this is dope."
One day. That's the plan.
Right.
Wait, so you in the investor class for Thousand Angels?
I am.
Okay, I met you there about 2 weeks ago.
Correct.
In the opening.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize
Didn't
till
even
just
know.
now. I didn't realize till just now. I'm like, wait, I know. I've heard this pitch.
Right.
Because 2 weeks ago, I'm in an investor class for Flex Water, and he's in one for his company too. So we met 2 weeks ago. I didn't know it till just now. I honestly had no idea.
There were a lot of people in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it? It's an investor class. We're to go over that. What is that?
So I got invited through UB. I don't know if you did. You did too?
Right. We
Through
got
Tom.
invited through Incubator. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Shout out to Tom Murdoch. He runs
Yeah.
Western New York Network Incubation Program.
Thanks, Tom.
Win. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Hopefully he listens.
he reached out to me. He was like, "Hey, I have this investor class. I think it'd be a good fit for you."
Cool.
And they
Is it actually
they
a
sponsored
class?
us. Yeah.
Nice. All right.
So it's like, it's weird. It's like the first class is in person, and then after that, it's online, and then
Okay.
it's 3 days a week, and they have an investor talk about investment.
right.
Those 3 days, and then you can have office hours on Thursday and meet up and talk to them, and then you get little assignments and articles to read.
Sick.
But it's kind of cool because I don't know about you, but we had this little exercise, and they basically showed us different investment pitches, and they wanted us to choose as the investor, us to choose, and it opened my eyes because I didn't see, when you have this great idea in your head, right? You think it's like worth $1 million. You want to bring it to market. You want to get an investor. To you, it makes sense to get an investor. It's like, oh, we could make money,
Right.
but the investor sees 10 different options, and he's going to go with the best one. He's not going to just choose something that
Right.
he's
Yeah.
not too sure about. There was one that was about a surf park. I don't know if it was here, but it was somewhere, and we ended up not investing in it. It was like $6 million to start out the facility, and then the cost were $6 million a year, and then you'd have to find a way to pay for that, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, if that was my idea, and I was like, a surf park in Buffalo, it's a genius idea. But in the investor's point of view, it's not going to get him the return on investment he wants.
Not all about just the idea. It's
There's
more
also
about the
no oceans in
statistics, right?
Buffalo.
And there's
Absolutely.
yeah.
And it's just not a little bit of work. It's a lot of homework that Brian's been pawning off on me.
Yeah.
You're the brains behind it all.
He is.
We know.
Oscar had this great idea.
So you've had some experience with investors here, have you?
Absolutely. So I want to get a little bit into the investment sides.
Cool.
But just picking up from, we thought we had commercial value when we built that whole solution for the professor. Then we went ahead and won some, competitions, entrepreneurial competitions. And then we did a validation test, a market research validation.
Right.
We went ahead and spoke
There we go, Brian. It's coming
correct.
up.
Yeah.
We went ahead and spoke to dozens of
I want
teachers.
to talk about this.
And realized that's just going to add to more of the problems. They thought it was cool, but it wasn't really something that was nailing the gun.
Right.
So what we really thought, so their feedback was that, sure, this is cool and all, but right now students are paying hundreds of dollars for different tools. They're desperate, and they are really, really hard. Education software is horrible. There's like Oscar mentioned, there's a lot of monopoly in education. And there really should not be one, because as the world moves forward, we have access to processors and browsers and tablets, although we're not making use of them in education.
Right.
Well, I
Anybody
feel like
can YouTube anything and learn anything.
they could also get misused pretty easily.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
You know what I mean? Like people not paying attention and using them for like, fun stuff rather than school stuff.
Yeah, like
Now the tricks combine
like
both.
how they had in like in New York, they gave like every kid an iPad or something
Yeah.
for school. Yeah, and then they found out the kids were distracted. Like, no shit, they have an iPad they could play games on all day.
Yep.
Why wouldn't
Right.
you be distracted?
Do you remember you guys could, I don't know if you, but like the graphing calculators used to be able to play games on them? Yeah.
That's how I used to do
I had
it.
like Super Mario on my calculator, so
Yeah.
like instead of like doing math and paying attention, I was playing Super Mario.
Classic.
Then the Italian teacher was wondering why I was playing with my calculator during her class.
She's like, wow, this kid is smart.
Yeah. It's a lot of math in Italian class.
Right? Crazy. Hey, I'm sorry.
No,
You're gonna
this is-
find out
no,
that
this
we're
is
gonna,
great.
we're gonna do that a lot.
No, this is great. That's a
Last week we
conversation.
started talking about the Oregon Trail.
Yeah. Shout out to Oregon Trail. You ever play
Yeah.
Oregon Trail or know anything about the Oregon Trail game?
No, what is that?
He died of dysentery.
Yeah.
It's like this old scroller game. I'll get into it real quick. All right,
I
it's
feel
this
like
old
that's a
scroller
white
game.
people thing. Like, I didn't know what
It is. It's based around when people had to move to the Midwest. So you're moving across the country in the Midwest on
To
your
Oregon.
wagon, right to Oregon, and
Right.
you just like shit happens, man. You fight off people that try to raid you. You get bit by a snake. Your sister dies. Like it's crazy.
It's
Pretty
very
dramatic.
basic, but I don't know.
People love
No one wins.
Was it like Sims or like Mario? Or
It's like
what is it?
Mario
Mario,
combined with
right.
Sims. Like the super basic Super Mario, that combined with Sims.
it. We gotta get somebody about Oregon Trail on this show.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm
we'll
gonna
get
actually
We'll
Oregon
find the
Trail
designer.
expert.
We'll find the designer and then we'll get him on.
Bring 'em on.
So what were we talking about again? We go off on random tangents.
Yeah.
We were talking about market validation.
Market validation,
Yeah.
right. So we ended up, ditching the whole idea and really, really focus on the problem set and the solutions that professors, they were really putting forward. And because I knew that I could really solve it. I knew that I had to do this because I had the confidence that I can spend amount of time, resources, and mostly that I actually really want to see an impact and change. More of the fact that if I'm not going to do it, someone else is going to do it. But I just couldn't wait for someone to do it.
Right.
I was like, I can do
Is
it,
that your
and I'm going
motivation
to do it.
for starting it? Really?
Absolutely, it was that I know I'm not going to wait for someone else to solve this, and I want to be the one to solve it.
Right.
So that's I just started on embarking on the journey, and I've learned a lot in the last 3 years.
Man. Awesome.
So what steps did you take to do the market validation? Like how did you do surveys at all?
Sure. So you could do a lot of things, right? It could be as easy as going and talking to your target audience. So what we did, it's much easier for us because we know our target audience is professors and students. So it's really easy for us to access those resources. So we just simply drove up there, knocked on the door, and say, hey, this is what we built. What do you think? And you get mixed feedback. You'd say, oh, this is great. I'll use it. But then you'd ask them, would you ever pay for this? And that's the story. That's actually what you want to look
Right.
at their
I
emotions.
think that's the most important part
Very
because
important.
everybody could say an idea is good, but
Right.
when you comes to actually taking out your money,
Yeah.
most people won't do it.
Right.
Yeah.
There has to be that value for them to do it.
Exactly.
And you need all that market research for the investors, right?
Right.
For
So
potential investors.
absolutely. So investment is it's nowadays all the entrepreneurs are when they start their companies, they'll first think is investment. They need the money. They need to close big rounds, and because without money they can't do anything. And that is actually a sad part about the trends that are going on right now, because there's so many things in a startup that you can do without money.
Right. That
And-
grassroots flow. That's what we've been
Exactly.
doing with Ticket Yum, just bootstrap the whole thing ourselves.
Well,
Right.
it just makes you more resourceful.
It makes you
Because when you have an extra couple $1,000,000 in your bank account, then you're just saying like, now I have extra money to fuck up with,
exactly
right? So you're not resourceful.
correct. And then the dollar's you can stretch a dollar for a long time. If you have $2 million and you've got investors, you know how to use that judiciously.
Mhm.
So that's what we want to do. I didn't want to focus on investors getting in, because I knew that I wanted the investors to come to us through impact.
Right.
And that's what we did. So we ended up building the software, launching, and we launched within 3 months because the demand was high, because the market validation, whoever we talked to, we mocked up the designs really fast. We said, well, how does this look to you? It's like, this is amazing. And unfortunately, we weren't able to finish the software before the launch, but launch it anyways.
Okay, right.
As an MVP, minimum.
Sure, as an MVP or
yeah.
whatever, but get that dollar in there. Why? And for us, it was really hard. We had this one perfect professor who was willing to help us out to, work out with all the kinks and really help us test it, because she believed in the solution and believed in us as a young entrepreneurs. And you want that one customer to work with you.
Right.
So we launched our software, and we ended up just making $30,000 in just one class.
Right.
In just one class as fast. And that's when people really want this and they like it. And
that's when people are willing to pay for the solution that you
Correct.
have. So it gives you more confidence, and then it gives you the ability to just multiply and multiply and multiply.
Absolutely. So we realized the potential impact of this. Like, if I can make $30,000 just one class, imagine if I have hundreds of classes, thousands of them. There are almost 6,000 colleges and universities in America.
Right.
And that's just a really small market compared to the rest of the world.
Mhm.
But it was really not about the money. So Y Combinator took note of this, and they invited us to interview, and they
Who?
flew us out
Who was
there.
that?
Y Combinator. So Y Combinator is an accelerator program out in California. They're considered the world's best. Airbnb, Dropbox came out of there. Stripe, all this billion-dollar startups came out of there. So I think their stats around 8,000 companies apply. 100 get selected, and
Right.
they fly them out all the way out there. So they flew us out, and they're like, "Why are you even charging, students?" So that was another thing I'm going to talk about. How do we think of pricing? And they said, make it all free. That's a Silicon Valley mindset.
Yeah, everybody at Silicon Valley
Right.
is like, all right, do it free. Right.
Do it free. So they said, make it all free until you figure out an optimized solution or optimized pricing, because you have a lot more wiggle room. Came back and took that to heart, and they really, really looked into how can we optimize the pricing that it allows us to scale. And because every company is different, we knew that we wanted to scale to globally.
Right.
And we want to get this technology in the hands of as many people as we can. So we came back and we made it, most of it, free for everyone. And we grew exponentially. And then we realized we got the beta test feedback. Because another problem that happens is once anyone pays you, you're obviously, bounded. So when we first made money within short time and we still hadn't finished development, we had finished development, but we wanted not to the level that we want.
Right.
It becomes a tech support company. If people call you in education, it's like you multiply 800 people calling you,
Right. Yeah.
and you only have 5 or 6 people in the company. It's like insane. So you want to delight your customers. You could give them refunds or whatnot. So it gave us a lot more wiggle room. I funded the entire company out of my own pocket.
Are you still bootstrapped up to this point, or have you had any investment money come in?
No.
Or did you win any prize money too?
We won a couple of prize money. We won a couple of grants. And the rest of it just we raised small friends, family, and fools round.
Okay.
Yeah. So everything is
good
bootstrapped.
old, good old hardship.
Is that,
Exactly.
friends, is that friends, families, and fools?
Yes.
What you call it?
Initially, you have to. The only people who would invest are either your friends, family, and someone who's fool enough to do it.
Right.
Right.
So it's like, all right,
crazy as
fuck
like
it,
here.
here's-
Right.
Right.
Here's the money. I like. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And that's important to actually find someone like that, because investors see those aspects, and especially in the Buffalo area, there, as much as it's changing, people here value connections more than intellect. rather than California.
Right.
So here it's the old classic where you have to play, you have to play it cool. You have to show that you have skin in the game. But that's pretty universal anywhere you go. You have to show your skin in the game other than just time. Right. So
I'm guessing you would say it's really important to stay bootstrapped as long as possible. Because I know when me and Oscar started Smart Print last year, first of all, our company direction changed like 3 times since.
Right.
But we were looking for investment money right away. That even if we got it, which we didn't, then we probably would have spent it in the wrong areas and not realized what we wanted.
Well, we had the offers. We just were like, hey,
that's true.
A lot of people have the money. It's like what we do with it. And
because we want to buy like $20,000 printers. And I know I bought one for the engineering company, or my engineering company bought one. And that thing sucks compared to my printers. I'd rather have, 10 to 20 of my printers for the same price that I bought one of theirs. The price of plastic was like 6 times the price, which would cut into our profit margins. And it was limited. So I could pump out more volume.
Remember that nerd that showed up to our doorstep on like a Saturday morning?
Which one?
He built
There's a lot of those.
He built a $700 printer that printed better than all of our printers.
Yeah. He brought in a whole box of parts. I'm like, this came off your printer?
He just knocked on your door?
Yeah, well, he just came into our shop. He came to our shop.
It was like 7 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, and he's like, guys, are you open? I see your cars.
He does like props for like not Hollywood, but that type of stuff, like theater stuff.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, he does a good job with his 3D prints, man.
Yeah, he's killing it. He's just working
good.
out of his apartment.
But still, like what I was saying, if we took investment money on too early, we would have spent it on the wrong stuff.
Exactly.
So kind of
like ended up being backwards instead of where you're supposed to go.
It saved us equity too.
Right.
Like we would have really fucked up if we got money too early. So I feel like it's also a good thing to not get money right away or look for it.
Yeah, we bootstrapped the whole thing to find out that we're gonna go through a rebrand and change the name and do all this crazy stuff. It would have been a waste if we're gonna.
Yeah, because it's a process, and I feel like it's never. I feel like you should go as long as possible without getting investment money, but I understand why people want to get it right away.
Yeah.
Because you just want to get
you got to be smart
because they feel like they're so limited without the money. But then
and they're impatient too.
Yeah, it just makes you get creative.
For sure. I feel like for you, for example, you win this prize money. Like I know I won like $50,000. I would be like, oh, I've never seen $50,000 in my life. My bank account or the company bank account. So it's about being smart with it and like really.
Yeah, like going to the bar and just blowing it off, popping bottles to celebrate.
It's not your money.
But all the cash cannon. Like.
I want to hear how you won money or raised money. I think people that are listening right now would want to hear how they can raise money or get prize money. Do you have any recommendations? How did you do it?
Sure. It's a lot of research, especially if you're a student entrepreneur. There are so many resources on campus. There are competitions. There are entrepreneurial competitions. You should absolutely
so if you're
take
in college,
part.
Look for these, yeah.
Absolutely. And I think even if you don't want to start your own business, I would still, you should participate because it teaches you a lot of those skills, which would even help you on in your careers. Right.
Yeah, like I graduated 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, and I still go back to UB for their entrepreneur program. And I just started doing that for the past year, and that opened up a lot of doors for me and Oscar. Like we would not be going the direction we have right now if we didn't go to UB. It's crazy, but like we networked with someone who had the right connection we needed. Now we're getting hooked up with the right people.
Right.
I think Buffalo in general is trying to rebrand themselves as the new entrepreneurial hub.
Yeah, the next Silicon Valley,
right? Like they put in that bid for Amazon. Like they're obviously not going to get it, but they're doing a lot and they're trying to bring business here. They're having the tax-free program for 20 years.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, they're doing a lot. They're trying to bring business here. Gerard Adams was here.
Yeah, Gerard Adams got his own day.
Yeah, we were there for that.
That's it.
The founder of Elite Daily.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he was here.
Yeah, I don't think he went to that, but he got his own day for Buffalo.
Huh? What's the day?
Gerard Adams Day.
Nice.
But he's a co-founder of Founders. He sold Elite Daily for $50 million, and he was part of a team that did it.
Okay, cool.
But he's a cool guy. Young. Okay. He's like, I don't know. He looks like he's probably young 30s.
Send him a LinkedIn message.
Yeah, add him on LinkedIn.
Yo, Gerard, I was here.
Yeah, he's a cool guy, but he's relative in like the space like Andy Frisella, Grant Cardone, Gary Vee. Like,
cool. All right.
He's relative in that space.
Inventing entrepreneurs.
Yeah, and inventing entrepreneurs. So the other thing I want to go back to, well, we were talking about how to get money, right?
Right.
For pitching. So what worked for you?
Yeah, some good tips and things other than just getting involved. How do you win these things, man?
Yeah,
People
like,
that
is it
wanna
a
win.
pitch? I'm guessing it's a pitch, right?
It is the pitch, but you also have to find the right team. And in a lot of these competitions, you have to go the extra mile than just go, get in front of the judges and just pitching your idea.
Right.
You actually have to show them that you did a little bit more. You actually tried, not just for the competition, but actually for your business. Right. For us, it was actually building the MVP or designing it or actually showing them the idea, getting market validation through the process versus other candidates who are just, this is my idea. Right. This is what it can do, and this is how much money I need. And a lot of these judges also wants to give money, even if your presentation is great. They would rather give the money to someone who they know they can actually take it forward.
Right, yeah, unless it's like pretty much throwing money away.
Correct.
If somebody's just going to do it just to do the contest and not actually move forward and do something with business. It's kind of
right.
wasted.
So if you can work on your business as much as you can, or show that and show that in the presentation, you have a lot more chances than your counterparts. And I think it also teaches you, because whenever you start actually getting in business, you will also have competitors, and it actually teaches you how to beat them or how to do better.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
In every business, you're always going to have competitors.
We've been lucky because the stuff we've got into, we haven't had too much competition, which I kind of...
Well, we didn't think we did because we were told what we've done in the past year, people like in UPenn have tried for the last 10 years.
Oh, yeah, with that stuff, yeah.
Right.
But
You'll always have competitors.
there's other people trying to develop what already.
Yeah, and then there's
But
companies
I'm talking
that
about
pop
even the
up
3D
that-
printing and product development. Like, there's not much competition in Buffalo. There are some, and I know of them, but like they're not doing the exact same thing we're doing. And same with the flex order. Like, there's people that have tried disposable shaker bottles, but they're not nearly close to like the as beneficial as ours are. So like, there's
just have to
competition
have
for
your-
us, but we've differentiate
You have
ourselves
to
and
have-
find the niche.
You have to have your own
Separate.
value proposition.
Yeah,
You do.
don't copy someone else.
Right.
Well, by the time you try to copy somebody else, they're already on to the next thing.
Yeah, there's also other people trying to copy that too.
I think it's more than the idea, right? I think it's a journey that matters.
Yeah.
It's you really, as an entrepreneur, as a founder, you really want to chart out what kind of lifestyle you want. Do you want to start a lifestyle business? Do you want this to be a corporate company? Do you want the idea to scale, or do you
Just want to go with the flow and figure it out
Right,
later.
Just be small mom and pop
Yeah.
forever.
correct?
Well, you never
and there's
know.
nothing wrong with that
Right.
either, right?
Certain products and businesses are better for certain stuff.
Right,
Correct.
exactly. It's whatever your niche is, whatever you're interested in.
Yeah.
So I think it's more of a personal question, a personal journey than actually an idea, and because any idea you can take it big, right?
Right.
You just
for
got to make sure
example-
it's scalable.
Right, scalable.
Yeah, but it just depends on how you look at it because you can scale anything.
Correct.
Yeah, we could also not scale something.
You have a
Like,
cupcake shop.
if it's something that you
can
have
sell
to
it
be-
nationwide.
Yeah, but
You know
if it's
what I mean?
something
It's
that you
just-
have
it
to be
depends
there
on how
for.
big you want to think, and then
Yeah.
how big you want to take it because it's a lot of responsibility to start shipping cupcakes all over the world.
Yeah, but if you're someone that, it's hard to scale what you do and it's a skill, you have to find people that can fill your skill.
Yeah.
Like if you start a welding company, hypothetically, like you need to find people that can weld like quality work.
Or you
Right.
can develop a SaaS program that teaches people how to weld.
True.
Yeah.
Right.
And take it elsewhere, right?
Yeah.
But it really depends on the entrepreneur, like how far you're willing to go.
Right.
As Oscar said, you can scale anything, and I agree. It really how much you want to grow. It's a personal question. And
So what was your idea? What was the first entrepreneurial thing you ever did? And then you were like, dang, okay, I'm a good leader. I can do this.
the first entrepreneurial thing I think I ever did was, I don't think it's very entrepreneurial, but I think I got into stocks and finances.
Did you win or lose?
I actually
lost.
won.
You won? I lost.
Fortunately for me, both of my parents were bankers, so they, my dad used to actually teach people how to do stocks.
Okay, cool.
Which is pretty cool.
Oh, so he helped you out?
Right. So when I was in 5th grade, he wouldn't let me do any of the stocks, but he would tell me, read this newspaper, the financial paper every day, and I did that until 8th grade. And he's like, it seems like you know what you're doing, and I was like, all full
So
of it.
he gave you 3 years to test yourself?
Right. He gave me.
Right.
I don't even think he was going to give me
Old
anytime
school
soon.
reading the newspaper.
That's
Yeah.
a tough parent.
Right. He's a very tough parent. So I was
Asian
like,
parents.
they are, but he's pretty cool. Shout out to him too. And so I did in 8th grade. I actually bought this stock and I actually made $600 profit out of it. And I was like, this 8th grader was
Yeah,
like,
8th
oh,
grader,
I know
shit.
what it is, and this I'm the shit. And I actually bought my first phone out of it.
Nice.
It was
yeah.
Nokia 5800. That was a pretty good phone before, Apple came and crushed everything.
It finally had color, right?
It did.
Right. One of the first.
Right. But then realized that stocks is something that you always want to invest your passive income into and not make it your active. Right. But I knew that learning always makes you, knowledge is actually what keeps you ahead. So as entrepreneurs, you always have to keep updated yourself.
Yeah.
It's like anything else.
You can't stay stagnant because then people are going to learn where you're at and get ahead of you.
Or even just to do your job better, right? You have to keep learning it.
Do better than you did today.
Because there's always going to be somebody that's more hungry than you.
Correct.
Yeah. More.
Once you get comfortable, that's when you start
people like
losing.
Oscar come in and take it over.
I've been thinking a lot about that, like in the past couple of days. Like, how are you an expert at something? Like, my definition would be if you know everything, but everything's always changing, so you can never be an expert.
Right.
You can be considered, but I feel like there's always more you can know.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially as things change. Sure.
And I think it's important to learn. Like,
Well,
3D printing, I'm
with
very skilled, but I'm not an expert.
Nowadays with the internet, like anybody can be like up and coming.
Yeah.
Right.
Or know the terms enough to seem like an expert.
So you can fake it, or you can actually be like, yo, this guy knows his stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's actually much easier. It's become much easier to start companies now than ever before.
I agree.
Which is
100%.
Well, there's more motivation to do it. There's a lot of like resources online, so it's easier. So it's gonna be harder.
Right.
Like, investors have so many options right now.
For sure. Anybody get their website.
Yeah, but then you just weed out the weak and like survival of the fittest. That's how I
But
see
you
it.
never know if
The best companies are going to survive.
Right.
Exactly.
And then it creates more competition that people, the end
Not only the
consumer
best
is going to get more
companies, the
value
best
out of it.
entrepreneurs, the ones that know how to pivot and move in that type of market.
That's why America does this whole, open competition thing. So the value is
but think
better
about
for the
it.
customer.
Think about it. Like, think about how crazy your phone, like how much stuff your phone can do right now. Like Samsung versus Apple, like they're just fighting each other every day. And then Apple's not only fighting Samsung, they're like trying to create their own cars that drive themselves. Mm-hmm. So it's like when there's more competition, it just creates more products for the end consumer.
Right. Absolutely.
So how do you cut through the noise, right? It's actually also become much tougher to cut through the noise because everyone's trying to think.
Even look at social media, like social media branding. I don't even want to be involved with it anymore because it's just so many people that just fucking.
Right.
Even though they get me sometimes, like on Instagram, they have the new sponsored like pictures. I'll be like, oh, this is cool. I'll double tap it because it looks good. I'm like, shit, I don't even know that person.
Yeah.
It's like some sponsored thing.
Right.
I feel like ads are just too. I don't think ads are effective anymore, and like that's something I want to talk about too because going back to marketing, I've been trying to run some ads to get just as simple as people to answer a survey, and I haven't had any return on it. Like I put a $100 campaign out last 2 days ago. Winner gets a free Gronk ball, like the Bluetooth speaker. It's like a $60 football.
Feature the Gronk ball, buy it now. Amazon.
Yeah, go buy it on Amazon, eBay. I got a ton of them. But no, I said free giveaway, tag 2 friends, and complete our survey. It's only a 10-question survey, but it helps us for our marketing, like our market validation to like see what people want. And in the past 2 days, I had 1,000 people look at it. Only one person commented on it, tagging 2 people, and then another woman commented on it, saying cute picture. Yeah, she said cute picture. She thought it was me. Cute. Yeah. So she goes cute picture. She didn't even tag anyone. So we only have one person entered in a contest. He's about to get a fucking Gronk ball by default. So like, it's hard to, I feel like social media is hard to get attention to people nowadays because they're just used to seeing sponsored and like breezing past it.
Right.
So I tried instead to get survey responses. I only got 4 by doing it the Facebook way, and that was $20. So, return on investment is not very good for that. But then I went to, we hosted our survey for the questions, just like, would you use a shaker bottle? Do you go to the gym? How often you use a disposable? How much are you willing to pay for it? Just like 10 basic questions about the shaker bottle. And we created that on SurveyMonkey for free. You can get up to 100 responses, and you can buy actually surveyors from them. And like in order for it to be statistically significant, like I think you need to have 10,000 people answer or 1,000.
Right. Yeah.
So you can buy 100 people to answer your survey. If you do no filters, so just anyone, any demographic in the U.S., it's $1 per survey. But if you add any demographic, so I added on fitness, I got 100 people answering a survey for $275. in my opinion, that $275 where I got the answer to the survey in 2 days, rather than go on Facebook and try to manually get it where people are going to do it to win a prize, I feel like it's better off just to pay someone like SurveyMonkey to get the surveys for you, because you can get 10,000 people and get them to answer it within a week.
Well, I feel like that's a reach issue, is that they already have the reach, whereas smaller companies like Flexwater and stuff doesn't have the reach like SurveyMonkey does.
And the other thing
is beg on the street like a bum.
Well, that goes back to the
survey.
You're not gonna get good answers. So what I did, I filtered out anyone that works more than 1 to 4 times a month. Or more, like one to 4 times, like the minimum was 1 to 4 times a month. So anything from that or more, so like every day too, it would get them to answer a survey. So I wouldn't have people that weren't working out. Right. And then like the numbers came out good. Like I found out like 50% of people don't use shaker bottles out of the 100, and X amount would buy the bottle. People want what?
You learned a lot from it.
Yeah. But I wouldn't recommend, I don't think social media, like sending out free prizes, because everyone's starting to do that now. Tag 3 friends and enter, get a chance
because
to win.
Because they never win.
Yeah. So, like, people are like, slowly,
you see, win a new Corvette, and then you're like, yo, I'm pull up in a new whip.
Free t-shirt.
Exactly.
I'd take a survey for a free t-shirt.
They say, like, the next Mark Zuckerberg isn't going to build a social media company.
There's so many social media companies on Instagram now that try to add me. Like, hey, I can bring your social media to the next level. First of all, I don't even care about that. It doesn't mean anything to me. Well, like at the same time, it's like so much competition for that, and it's like it's not that hard. Just buy a fucking robot and like tell the person that you're doing it. Like I guarantee it's a lot of social media companies do to get more followers. They probably just sign you up for a robot and charge you double.
Right, that's horrible.
And ruin your reach.
No engagement. Yeah.
So
trash.
No, that's a good point though. Like
followers.
It's still much easier than it ever used to be to get answers from people.
Right.
But
I like what you were talking about with going door to door.
Exactly.
Like you went to the teachers. I should be going to the gym. I just didn't have time. I knew deep down I should, and I'm gonna start going around to managers and getting managers first before I start getting like actual people that work out. But
it was my idea.
It was
my idea. I said just you stay in your PJs and start making a Facebook campaign because you don't have to leave your house.
So, that was your idea, but like I'm thinking that it's a better idea to go door to door and make that face connection, because then you might get a customer.
Right.
Rather than just get a random person to answer the survey. If I go talk to a manager of a gym and say, hey, if you take my survey, I need to know for a product I'm about to launch, and then you make that personal connection, and then they're like, oh, I do like this product. If you actually do launch, let me know. I'll buy some for my store.
Absolutely.
Did you actually see that?
I was about to say a short story. So for in our business, we exactly know our customers are. So we don't actually sell to schools and universities, to the audience listening. We actually market it to professors who adopt in the classes just as they would adopt a textbook or clickers. But students end up paying for the services. So just an example, when we said we made about $30,000 in that class, we saved students 72%.
Right.
Professors were making students pay about $140 for that one class.
Right.
For clickers, for other services to use, textbooks are expensive.
Yeah, I feel like any college student can relate to that.
Exactly.
That was like the worst time of the year, going to the bookstore and getting all those books.
All those books, they're super expensive. Yeah. Now they only paid $40 for everything.
Right. I remember people used to go on.
They get digital copies, they get better software, they get, they can use it elsewhere. And so the whole idea is we save them 70%.
Right.
And just in my $30,000 seems like a lot of money that one class made, but actually students are paying tons and tons.
That goes to say,
right.
If you save them 70% and made $30,000, like Jesus.
Correct. And so we actually broke a lot of monopolies there, and people are maybe mad.
But see, you're disrupting the industry, and that's what's happening everywhere right now. Yeah, everyone that's been comfortable for the last 30 years. Tops. I don't know if you're not in the Buffalo area, you won't know Tops.
They filed bankruptcy.
They just filed, or they're about to file bankruptcy.
No, they're done.
Right.
Oh,
yeah,
they're done.
Chapter 13.
But see, I wouldn't even think that they would be. They seem like a normal functioning store, but you got people like Whole Foods and Trader Joe's moving in, the hip, organic type.
People getting more bougie.
Yeah.
Yep.
It
Awesome.
is. It's again, right?
Even Amazon
the
too.
Entrepreneur.
You thought the food industry was safe because it's all perishable.
Because everybody gotta eat.
Yeah.
But getting back to John's the question, if I ever actually experienced that, when you go door to door, and what the reaction was. So like I said, we go up to professors and ask them, hey, is this something that saves you time? Is this something you think it's valuable? And I remember this one time I was, waiting for a professor to talk to her, before class started. So I just went before I looked at her times, and I just went ahead. and I found this one of her students, this girl who was sitting next to me, and I started asking her questions, because you also want to talk to students who are in that class. So you learn better. Right. So I learned better about the teacher, how she teaches, and I got her talking, and she's giving me all these answers, and she's just impressed. She is, very motivated. She wants to be part of your success. They want to be part of the process. They want to be like,
because they also believe in it too. A lot
Correct.
of teachers, that's why they're teaching, because they believe in that type of movement.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
So when professor came in, and instead of me trying to go approach into sales, the girl actually got up. Hey, professor, this is a company. Have you heard of this? And they were using her competitor's product, and it's like, this is cool, and I really think. And she introduced me to the professor, recommending to use us. And I was like, right,
just talking to her.
Exactly. And she put me, and I wasn't even actually trying to pitch to the professor that day. She put me on the spot. Yeah. So it was more of me like, oh shit, I have to pitch.
You just walked in on this class that you didn't belong in?
Right.
Did you have the pitch ready, or did you?
I did not. I was like,
did it work out?
That's what's up, though.
So
all right,
that's the
awesome.
thing, right?
Then you're more real. It's not like something scripted.
No, it's not scripted. And it was...
Because then you're actually talking about how you feel rather than trying to make something up and talk to a script.
And a lot of this entrepreneurial journey is mostly about connecting with people. No matter if you're a tech company, no matter you're a manufacturing company, if you can connect to people well, you have a better success. And you have to learn it. And the only way to learn is to get down and get dirty. Right? It took me a lot of time initially, but I had this thing I have to go and learn. I was very awkward. Knocking on the door is like, hey, professor, and they're like, who are you? It's like, oh, I'm Rohan.
It's hard at first.
Right.
But then you get used to it eventually, and you're like, all right, I've dealt with a person like this before. I kind of know how to talk to them.
You got to get uncomfortable to get comfortable.
Exactly. And you have to push your team to also do the same, because, especially in tech, like a lot of people, there's no stereotype, but they are very, very analytical, technical mind. They're like, I'm just going to sit on my computer, make this happen, and be Facebook. It doesn't work that way. Business is very opposite. You have to make your team also go out and talk to them. And it's probably not for everyone, but you have to show them that, hey, they're real people who's going to use you, and look at the feedback, and they get excited too. They're like, oh, wow, if I'm going to code something like this, their actual professor is going to, and he's going to remember the emotions going through his head, and he's going to build better software. Cool. So at the start of the journey, you want everyone to go out and talk to customers.
Cool. What have you done to really push them to do that and get them uncomfortable? Because there's a lot of people, I'm sure, who are kind of just especially newer leaders or people that have a team of their own, they might be reluctant to get their team to be uncomfortable.
Right. If they don't join you, they're probably not the right fit.
Yeah.
But not true either. You have to motivate them. You have to be able to talk to them that, hey, we have to do this. There's no one else doing it. We really have to go out there and listen. You have to motivate. You have to show them that this is something that we have to do. And hopefully they do that.
Were you wearing that pink shirt when you pitched to that professor?
I did not.
No, what were you wearing? Were you fresh?
I wasn't even,
you were ready to pitch, or you were just incognito in sweatpants?
No. Okay, I have a great other story for that. So I was not even trying to pitch her. That was not on schedule. I was walking through this school. I know I was there for some work, and they were like, you know what? I'm here. I should just talk to professor. My customers. You make better use of my time. And I looked it up, the professor class, and I googled who was teaching the class, and I know, intro to such and such mechanical engineering. And I stopped by there, and I was waiting, and I ended up talking to that girl. And turns out she just put me in the sales pitch because she believes in the product, she likes it, it's all local, and she's like, yeah, let's do this.
Is this UB?
This is UB. Okay. Right. Or maybe I don't remember.
Let's wonder. Okay.
But so another time I went to Milwaukee last year summer, and I ended up meeting with this one professor. On the phone, you don't want to be salesy. So I said, hey, professor, there's some opportunity of this, some feedback or research. End up meeting him in my Classavo t-shirt and pants. And this guy's a retired Air Force major. So he shows up in all suit. And the first thing he looks at me is like, you look like a student. And I was like, oh shit, I lost the sale. Right? And we decided to meet up at a restaurant, a cafe. And I was like, dang it, I lost this whole sale.
You probably killed your whole vibe,
right.
too.
Right,
You
but
went confident to like the exact opposite real quick.
Exactly, but you have to fake it. Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You have to pretend like nothing's wrong and
everything is
sense if
great
you think
about
something's
business.
wrong. Yeah.
Exactly.
But the thing is, also everybody that wears a suit works for somebody in sweatpants.
Okay.
That's how I see it. That's how I see it.
That's why you wear sweatpants every
I've
day.
worn jeans twice in 2017.
That is funny.
No employees yet, but one day.
One day.
Yeah, but I've worn jeans twice in 2017. Otherwise, it's all sweatpants.
I wear jeans like every day.
I wear jeans.
Sweatpants like twice a year.
But it turned out I ended up selling him in flat 6 minutes. I kid you not, it was one of the fastest sales I've ever made in my life. And on top of that, he was a flight instructor. Right. He's retired. And he's like, I want to take you out for plane. Why? First of all, he's like, why are we so cheap, like in terms of our service? Because I actually ended up saving him 1/3 of the cost.
Right.
He used to get grants to do this class for a certain amount.
Oh, so we had to like pay do the grant, but he had to basically like spend time to get the grant every year.
No, he already had the
it?
grant. He already was funded, but he was spending 3 times more to the same thing that we were doing for 1/3 of the cost.
And saving him the money.
Right. So he gets 2/3 of more wiggle room to do it. And he's like, this is great. You're great. I love the energy. I want to take you out flying. I kid you.
Did you go flying with him?
So I was leaving.
Apache?
No, I was leaving the next day.
That's your dream, to get on the Apache.
I couldn't because I was leaving the next day, and I was very upset. And he's like, "When we come back, this is great. I'll take you flying." And not kidding.
That's cool. That's a lifelong connection, Adam, to business right there.
Right.
I went flying before with my old boss.
Did you really? That's
yeah, my old boss was like the day before I quit. I felt so bad.
Man, you're doing such a good job, man.
No, so I quit. So I went to go look at possibly designing something for his airplane, and he's like, "Hey, we're here. Let's go out for a flight." And he takes off, and it was cool. It was just a small little passenger plane, and then halfway through, he's like, "Oh yeah, grab the stick," because you have the stick in the middle. And then he let me steer the plane, so it's literally as soon as you lean one way, the plane leans with you. It's so weird.
That's cool.
It's the coolest thing I've ever done, and I quit the next day, so I felt guilty.
Oh my god, that's the worst.
Yeah, but when your boss has his own plane, you're doing something
I'm
right.
still cool with him.
Right.
You're still in the right field.
Yeah, so. But it was
You're
honestly,
like, I'm quit. I want to do this my own.
it was one of the coolest things I've ever done. We flew over Niagara Falls,
Networking.
and yeah.
Hell of a thing, isn't it?
It's crazy.
But so
we know a lot of people with planes, but nobody with an Apache yet.
No, we need an Apache.
Please message us.
I need a pickup.
All the military peeps right there.
I should talk to Sergeant Joe.
Sergeant Joe Miller. He broke his foot.
In 1 week since we saw him.
He was rehabbing his right knee, and he broke his left foot while he was rehabbing his right knee. I don't know how. He hasn't told me yet, but he's in the ER right now.
Too much push-ups.
He was the guy on our last podcast.
Right, I did hear that.
But so back to marketing. When you went out, did you just go out and target teachers and have the same exact list of questions? How many questions were in the list, and what have you seen from that feedback?
Yeah, what's your approach for approaching?
Is it the same every time? Do you change it? Because I feel like you have to stay the same so you can analyze the data later.
Right. So you have the same pitch down, but every person is so different. It changes.
Right.
But eventually, like you said, it does form trends that So there are times when the hardest challenge for us is knocking on the door to showing them the platform, and they're like, "This is great." That's the biggest challenge, because when I used to go first, "Hello, Professor. My name is Rohan Shah. I'm from Classavo. Can I?" It's like, "No, get out of here. Who are you?" Right.
Selfish.
Right. And now you're like, "Hey, Professor, I need your help." And they're like, "Yes, I want to help you." They think you're a student, and not trying to be other around.
So you have to find the right angle to get their attention.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying that Brian probably found the wrong angle when
I probably did.
when he tried to get those surveys done.
Right, but now
did.
now he
I'm not
knows
good at
and
that stuff.
he's gonna do it better.
Well, I'm just gonna go out in person and get the connections. 'Cause I feel like it's gonna take longer, but it's gonna pay off more because I might get potential sales.
Right. Just go to the gym as wearing your sweatpants and talk to, make it as low key as possible.
It's, yeah, I'm not trying to sell you anything,
right.
but can you just help me out, get this feedback, the survey, so I can go out and try to get investors or analyze the data and see if I need to redo my product and make it better.
Absolutely.
Because you probably had that where you learned through your surveys that you were doing something wrong in your product and you probably adjusted to fix that.
If you've done market research and realize, shit, we did something wrong.
Oh, yeah, all the time.
That's when you just
market
adapt
research.
to whatever they want, right? because you want to solve a problem. So when they have something different in mind, it's like you should take their consideration and adapt your product to it.
Correct. And sometimes you have to also, trust your gut. Not every feedback is great.
Right.
Sometimes it's wrong. You have to have like this. No, I know I'm doing it right. But if 10 people are telling you the same thing, then you're wrong.
Yeah.
That's another thing I wanted to bring out today to all the listeners is that never assume.
If you assume you make an ass out of you and me.
Correct. The biggest
classic
mistake
saying.
entrepreneur makes is they think they're right. And that's absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
Your customer's always right, and you can show them the imagination,
And
they might not believe in you.
It's hard to not get mad at them. It's like, no, they're
Correct.
wrong. Yeah.
But you
I know
still
what you mean.
really have to listen more
Yeah.
and assume less. And for the entire company, especially you start, I've seen a lot of startups, especially for, design startups, so anything with design, founders quarrel with each other, or like the company calls, it has to not be a thing at all. In my company, it's like, I tell the designer, you are not right, I'm not right. Right?
The
Whatever you
customer's
design,
right.
The customer's right. So whatever you design, you have to get out the door and show them and tell me what they think.
Right.
Because even though I hate what you've done, or you like what you've done, I'm still not right.
Doesn't matter.
Correct.
Right.
It's not right. So you have to get that mentality in the company from building culture is the hardest thing to do.
And what sucks too, when it builds onto that, is that sometimes even though your customer is right, what their opinion isn't going to be feasible. So you have to kind of like find a way to please them in that regard, but still be able to bring a product to market.
Or if they tell you what they want, but they're not willing to pay for it.
That's true too.
Yeah.
Right. So for us, a lot of teachers, they're like, excited, this is great, and it's like, would you pay for this? And that's the real question.
Yeah.
Like, I want you to adopt in your class. Yeah, it's only $20. So students pay $20, unlimited classes per semester. Right. You can't get any cheaper than that.
Right.
No,
it's
that's
like buying
cheap.
super cheap.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Instead of $400 total in textbooks.
Exactly. And
Plus
the
damn $200
clickers.
calculators.
plus clickers, right?
Right.
It's insane.
So having you be as,
Subscription fees.
being an alumni or like having went to school at UB, do you think that has been an asset to getting your foot in the door at UB? Are they like helping you out because you're an alumni?
Oh, absolutely. I think I'm more strategic in a way because I'm an education tech company.
Right.
So it's much more beneficial for me than other alumni. But absolutely, they've been the strongest supporters.
That's
But
awesome.
this just shows when you're an entrepreneur, you just have to be resourceful.
Right.
You
Be
do.
resourceful, jump on anything that you think could help you. Just reach out. It doesn't hurt to reach out to anybody, if you think somebody has a connection or might be able to help you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Being humble, asking for help.
Right. That's huge.
And even helping others definitely opens doors for you.
That's cool. Do you have any other tips for newer entrepreneurs that something maybe that you've done to help grow people or move your business forward?
I think I wrote this one quote down. For especially
Love
trying to get
quotes.
investors, if you ask for money, you get advice, and if you ask for advice, you get money, and that's
Right.
very important.
Cool. I like that.
Being coachable.
Podcast name.
Exactly.
That's true. You know what? I never even thought about it that way, but that's so true. If you ask for money, every time you ask for money, they give you advice on why they're not going to give you money.
Right. Exactly.
You ask for advice like, oh shit, you're not trying to get money from me. I'm going to give you to
Trying to
like,
get it to grow.
yeah.
Exactly.
So we have a cash cannon tonight, but we don't have an advice cannon.
That'd be something.
Advice cannon.
Think about that.
That's
Think about
funny.
it.
We are the advice can.
we need both, right? If
So
someone asks for advice, you hit with the cash can.
how many
Yeah.
schools are you in right now?
So we're in actually 14 schools and
14?
adding more for us. 18.
All college?
All universities, colleges. We've done a lot of beta testing with them, and now we are ready to scale this
Yeah.
immensely.
Time to happen.
You see
right?
it? You see it happening soon?
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome.
Very soon.
I'm hyped for it. Now,
Blackboard's so old, man.
Blackboard.
Yeah, I
huh?
hated
Oh, it's so
that. Yeah.
static and boring. I've played with it. I love
Right.
it. The Classavo platform is great.
So
It's so much more interactive. Just like freaking just the colors. The easy as the colors makes it better.
Where do you-
appreciate it?
Yeah.
where do you see yourself in 5 years, in 10 years from now?
In 5 years, definitely, saving money for students, but actually creating an impact in terms of value
In the education?
in the education, right? And I think if you solve education, you solve everything. So able to deliver that value to students or professors to do, help them to build an asset that they can use to teach better, right? because first of all, they're busy with, they're also very motivated to do, teach students, and they also want to see them being successful, so want to help along the journey. But in 10 years, we want to make this globally. So perhaps it's in United States, we only have 24 million students in higher education.
Right. Which is low compared to the rest of the world.
Very, very low compared. So, for example, India, it's about 55 million students in just higher ed. We want to target that market. We also want to help them. Yeah. And even the rest of the world, else in Europe, Africa, we want to see how can we get there and get help to students.
Do you think the language barrier is going to be a huge obstacle to overcome?
Not at all. Absolutely not.
Automatic translation, or you're going to have to hire people to translate it?
I mean, whatever work needs to be done, we need to hire.
When you do it, come back on the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's something that is totally.
We'll bring you on for a part two.
How to scale globally, including the language barrier.
Oh boy, it's a challenge, but I hope to definitely try it out. And
you're gonna get it, man.
So a lot of our listeners might not even believe in higher education, though. Do you have any advice for them?
Yeah, especially the Peter Thiel Foundation. They give entrepreneurs. By the way, shout out to Peter Thiel Foundation. They give entrepreneurs $100,000 to drop school and pursue it.
You just drop out of college?
You drop out of college and you take the money, right? And which is,
how much did they give you?
No, they didn't give me anything, but that's a foundation.
Well, they give you $100,000 to drop out of school?
Yes.
I didn't know that. I would have dropped right out.
Now they all know. So
anyone that's about to graduate, completely fuck up your life and go.
No,
you
it's
have to
not
apply
like that.
for it.
But it's my question comes from if you are an entrepreneur and you believe in yourself and you believe that you have a solution for a problem, you might not think that higher education is worth it. Why would you spend your time on it?
That's very true.
Yeah,
I don't see this. We can go off on a huge
this is a
tangent
long
in this.
discussion.
It's a long discussion, but what I'll simply say is where I'm at right now, not in my entrepreneurial career, it wouldn't have been unless I got my engineering degree. So my engineering degree is what got me into my job, that got me the skills I needed to know, and also the hate I needed to have in the engineering field to want to do my own entrepreneurial.
But that's just you. But look at
it depends.
Zucks.
Yeah.
Zucks dropped out of
it depends on what you're trying to do, though. But
Facebook,
I think in certain careers, it could be certain industries, it could be really important. You're trying to get into manufacturing entrepreneurial, being a manufacturing entrepreneur, you need to know that engineering skills.
But it's also different for everybody. You want to be a lawyer, you have to go to school. That's it.
If you want to be a successful lawyer,
what I'm saying is so you talked about Peter. What else? What advice do you have for listeners that might not believe in higher education, but you want to motivate them to keep doing what they're doing?
I'm not promoting higher education at all in this program, because everyone's so different. It's about.
I don't think it should be everyone that goes. I think it should be depending on your case, what you're trying to do and what you're trying to build.
Right. So I think a general advice that I would give to anyone who wants to start a business or being an entrepreneur, if you show up, you get 50% success. So get up and show up. Do it.
It's also what you do with the skills you learn. Correct. You can go to school and not use any of the skills that you learned and then do nothing with it. But let's say you take your skills to the next level, you can make fucking millions. Right. So it's also what you do. It's not what the education does. It's also what you can do with the education.
Of course. Yeah,
and people don't realize that.
Put in the time. There's not a lot of people that are doers. I feel like.
They expect to they got to this point and now they get all the stipulations that come with that.
They're expecting a job out of college, but that's just not what happens nowadays.
Yeah.
Right, everyone, you have to have a leader, you have to have a follower to, for all this to work.
That's true, right? Yeah. We're
so,
not leaders if we don't have followers.
Correct.
Yeah.
And there's nothing right or wrong. You can be either of them. There's nothing wrong to be a follower.
No, not at all.
To be a leader. It really goes back to the personal question, your lifestyle. What do you want to be your lifestyle, right? Because if you are trying to get into entrepreneurship, you have to get dirty in the sense where, there are times, I one kid, when I graduated, I had really great opportunities, get paid quite well. But I decided, I haven't paid a single penny to myself and my partner. That's all sweat equity. But we pay other people and, you hire people.
That's more important, though. Right. Otherwise, it wouldn't grow. Pay yourself before you pay your company. You're going to lose real quick.
For almost a year, I actually slept in the living room on the carpet with another roommate. Right. I paid $150 in rent. Yeah. And my parents are obviously why you had this great opportunity, you could have made, drive Mercedes right now, you could have your own house, why do you do this? because
you're hustling. Right?
You're hustling, but also it's
you
symbolic.
Believe in the impact.
Right?
You also believe in the impact that you're trying to create.
Right, and it's symbolic because you get up in that living room like, I need to get out of here.
Yeah,
the only way I'm getting out of here is actually doing the other thing.
And your customers have to. I mean, not your customers. Your employees have to get paid before you do.
Correct, absolutely.
Because otherwise they can't keep working.
They can, right? And
more employees is more production too. That's how I see it too.
Right, and that's the whole different ball game to find the right people. Is I think it's also hard, but you have to have a good team, and once investors, they take note of this, they reach out to you, and they're like, I want to invest in this, and then you can skip. But now you have all the experience in the past that the money is not a big deal. You can use that money to grow.
Absolutely, that's like how we don't have a real studio right now. It's the same thing.
I think this is
a new facility we're working the studio into.
I think this is a very beautiful studio.
Like we're building a studio right now.
See, you see 3D printers in the background. It's just literally in the dining room.
It's like you gotta hustle and make do of what it's worth. And right now,
you
might be sleeping on the couch, but it's like you're running.
Make it work because it'll pay off.
Right.
Correct. But I feel like
you're in like 14 schools. You're moving.
Right, and you have thousands of people that you helped or have touched your product, and then that is, I think, value.
And not only that, so many people I feel like now they try to look like they're rich, but they're gonna be broke forever. You know what I mean? Like they're I'm looking at my Snapchat from last night. I'm fucking working till 3 a.m. I see people popping bottles.
Everybody was in Toronto last night. This person
makes less money than me, and they're popping bottles.
Everybody was in Toronto last night, right? Yeah, in Toronto. Yeah, there was a concert in Toronto last night.
But still, you spend all your money. See, they're gonna wake up in 5 years, be like, why the fuck am I at where I'm at right now? But you know what? I know why. Because you went out every Friday, Saturday night, and spent every fucking dollar you had on liquor. And going to bars. Invest it. Act broke now and be broke, and you'll be rich later.
Right. My dad tells me that. I'll spend some money though.
I used to pop bottles. I look at it now. I'm like, I spent $500 in one night on what? I was making half what I'm making now.
500. How much? I spent $10,000 a night in Cancun.
Well, yeah, but that's a different story. I don't even want to go there. But still, $500.
And what did that
at one night at a bar? That's for one bottle.
It got you nothing.
It got you nothing. It got me further from where I want to be right now. Mm-hmm. So, be broke. Be broke, even if you're rich. But.
Anything else you want to shout out before we depart on this adventure?
Oh, absolutely. So all the listeners, go check us out, classavo.com, CLASSAVO.com.
There'll be a link in the description.
Exactly. And if you are a student and you think this is going to help your class, and go please forward this to your professors, because what we ultimately aim to do is make it much easier and simple.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So if you don't like Blackboard and clickers,
our textbooks, paying for expensive textbooks,
hit us up.
Well, have a good week. The money gun.
I want to do that.
The money gun. We'll catch you next week, guys. Thanks.
Thank you so much, guys.
Money stacking up, talking trash, better back it up. I'ma make my money while they laugh at us.